Hello there, I'm Steve Henry, and it's a pleasure to bring you a video about the evolution of formal education. Scholars have identified four main paradigms or different shifts, the first of which, called Education 1.0, is about the teacher at the centre. Essentially, this is where the personality of the teacher and the way they see the world is the thing that runs the show. And, that can have very positive inspirational effects, but it also mightn't work out, right? On the whole, this isn't the effort of the teachers, but actually it's because of this idea of standardizing, that all learners are treated the same and they are looked at a prescribed curriculum, which they need to look through their reality. So this one size fits all leads to what Jackie Gernstein called the receive, respond, and regurgitate culture, which in many ways is quite archaic and might have worked when we wanted a whole lot of workers who all thought the same, but learners aren't really like that. They're quite diverse, like these folks on the screen here that I've represented in different shapes. When there's an attempt to impose or a particular dogma onto them in this behaviorist way, it doesn't go well now in the modern context. This leads to Education 2.0, which is kind of the next paradigm, where most of our schooling is at, and our higher and our beyond schooling institutions. This is where we have experts, and their job is to curate and scaffold a curriculum so that learners can access it. So this has yielded a lot of benefits, with experts solving specific technical problems, from medicine to engineering. But the question of who is the expert and whose knowledge is curated is a very important thing, and the risk of getting stuck in disciplines is real. So this is quite historic. This image is from the 1400s, when the first lectures in universities were given like this as a reading, and it was kind of looks like a religious scene. But from the lectern where the authority is, and people are asleep, there's quite a few functions of modern day lectures you'd see, and it's information in one ear and generally out the other. So it's not necessarily a great way to learn. The campus is the place where this happens in, and Michael Smith suggested that we've confused the method with the mission. And really the mission, as articulated by Sir Ken Robinson in one of the famous TED Talks about education, is to unlock human potential. So when we have situations like cafeterias in these campuses, and they provide the opportunity to meet and see other people that you least expect, so it's a positive thing. This piece of art by Finnish artist Virpi Oninen really sums up the idea of Education 1.0 and 2.0, being in an isolated space away from the complexities of a world that's been described as volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And learning beyond that in Education 3.0 has been activated by technology, really, where learners have become quite familiar with the freedoms of having knowledge at their fingertips. This is not helpful for experts because they lose their authority, but also because that there's so much knowledge out there that who knows what's good knowledge and bad knowledge. So this leads to confusion by learners, and in the Education 2.0 space, there suddenly becomes a bit of angst around, well, whose knowledge is the correct knowledge, and who's the expert I'm going to listen to. And so, if you like, making sense of this becomes a thing, and learners have kind of been, if you don't normalize to fit this, then the problem lies with you. Education 3.0 has taken this paradigm further and moved into the, connecting and constructing. And the expert is still relevant, but slightly on the side. And it's much more difficult for the expert as a facilitator in 3.0 to meet all these needs of people, because they're dealing with expectations that are quite challenging. And given learners' diversity, it is actually a way of customizing to their needs, though. But you kind of, as a facilitator, to try and relate to all of these learners and really shine with them is a challenging and big ask. So in summary, Education 3.0 it has the ability, the strength of more formal and informal learning merging. So people are online exploring what they're passionate about, and it brings together rational and non-rational ways of knowing. So your emotionality is a lot more brought into it. It's mobile, it's flexible. But it is unsettling when experts don't know, and most experts are not expert facilitators. So this is a very disruptive shift, and technology is driving this fundamentally. And when we look at how this can be done at its peak, I think. Facilitators are bringing the best out of everybody so that they can kind of relate to each other and then take on aspects of other cultures and behaviors which they relate to and resonate with from a place of respect. That's really, and so it's a tough job for doing in that facilitator seat, and you have to. It's kind of a cross between the superhero and the traditional educator, mixed with the need to relate to a whole lot of different people. So it's very difficult to deliver this en masse the way Education 1.0 and 2.0 could. 4.0 is more about sense making and this idea of navigating in what's an increasingly complex world. And it's brittle, it's anxious, non-linear, and also incomprehensible at times. So this world is the best thing about this is it's more able to cope with disruption, but this requires high lunar agency and a trust that what will the emergence and transformation will enable this transdisciplinary response. Now, this is highly disruptive, and there's very little Education 4.0 going on in our formal institutions in any way. So if you'd like to hear more videos like this, see my Leaps in Learning podcast or have a look underneath. Thanks for watching. Bye.